Get real. It's time for Debbie Georgionni. Good morning, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Good morning. I love that catchy intro music. I love that.
Yeah, well, I do want to say this. We had a
Yes.
conversation. We've known one another for many years, Debbie Georgionni.
Many years.
And last week I was talking to you, and it meant so much to me. She said, you know, my friends call me Deb. And I said, oh, really? She said, yeah. She said, but keep calling me Debbie. I said, okay, sounds good. Good morning, Debbie.
I have to call her Deborah.
Deborah Ann for you.
Deborah
Okay, there you go. But get real. I love this idea in this segment. Thank you so much, Dave and Ron, for allowing it and thinking of it, because it's going to be so helpful for folks, especially going into the weekend. And I think by now, if you've listened to Take Two or to the Spirit World, you know that Adam and I, and including Jerry, we're involved in a outreach ministry called Stand Tall. And you can find us at standtalltoday.com. And we've been doing life coaching for 5 years with this wonderful program. But I've been life coaching for over 20 years. And it's been a real life changer, game changer for me in so many ways, because of the things you learn in small bites, small tidbits, in order to bring it into your relationships and into your life. So I thought for this very first Get Real with Debbie G, we would talk about intimacy. And it's so interesting because in life coaching, we always say that intimacy means, and you've probably heard it, into me you see. Into me you see.
Oh,
I've not
Yeah.
heard that.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, intimacy. And so going into the weekend, it's so important that we look around on all those relationships that we have around us, friends, family, fellow parishioners, neighbors, our spouse, our kids, our grandkids, and even our pets. You know, we're very close to our pets, right? But this idea of into me you see is so important. But what is required with that is the ability to actually spend time and really build that relationship, build that bond. And there's such a thing called side-by-side activities, right? So such as going to the movies. So you'll hear oftentimes people will say, well, we've got a date night. And you'll say, well, what are you doing on your date night? And they'll say, we're going to go to the movies.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful, but that's a side-by-side activity. And side-by-side activities have been accused of not really building intimacy. But that's not exactly a true statement. Because when you have a shared experience with someone, you're building that bond, that experience, that trust. You're doing it with somebody else. In that shared experience can actually foster intimacy. So it does help. But if you want to go one step a little bit better for your relationships, is maybe go to dinner and a movie. Because at dinner you're eating, that is true, but you're hopefully sitting across from each other and looking at each other, really and truly connecting, making that eye contact, and that's where you'll get that deep into me you see. And especially for women, generally women do need that and do prefer that and like that. Men do prefer side-by-side activities. That's where they can, gain that understanding and trust and relationship bonding and everything with other people. That's typically how men prefer it. But if you do a combination of both, you could really achieve that wonderful sense of intimacy. So my challenge for everyone, and I'd love to hear your responses on this, you guys, and then my challenge for everyone is practice that this weekend. This idea of, there's going to be activities you're going to do side by side in your home and in your social circle, but then also spend that time one-on-one and really, really engaging and looking into a person's, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. It's so true, but really engage and make that eye-to-eye contact connection in a beautiful, loving, trusting way so that you can deepen the relationship in a way that really no one can describe. Because when you make that connection, oftentimes if somebody has that trust for that other person and has that relationship, it'll pierce really down into the soul, which is a wonderful thing. And that's what you really want to get to, those deeper levels of intimacy. Into me you see. Okay, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting to me because the timing just couldn't be more perfect. I had a conversation with Eileen just yesterday evening, and she said, I think we should go out to dinner twice a week. I said, that sounds great. She said, good. I'll go on Wednesday, you go on Friday. That's not helpful, right? No, but Debbie, it is. I'm sorry. But I love this distinction between, because we think when we're spending time together, there's great value in that. And you pointed out that there is. But what are you doing together? This side-by-side activity, though it can be helpful, is not exactly what we're looking for to build our relationship, to build that intimacy with couples or in any other relationship, quite frankly. And we have so many things that we can be distracted by, even when we're together, that really ends up having us not be together. We're together, but we're separate while we're together.
Right.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting when I see couples. I'm a people watcher.
Yeah.
And so I'll see couples in the movie theaters, and you'll see them come in, they'll sit down, and they get out their phones for 10 minutes, and they're playing with their phones, and then they start the movie, and then they walk out. It looks like they're strangers next to each other, and that's it's still great time together. Don't get me wrong, it's still great time together, but it's also nice when you can make that connection. What do you think, Ron?
I think so. I think you need that, and not only to foster the relationship, but just for your overall health and well-being. You kind of need that. People need people, right? So, we need that intimacy, not only with our spouse, but with those around us.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And you know what's interesting? I think about Jesus, right? How many times do we hear in the scriptures about how he spent time with people? He dined with people for long periods. Why is that? Well, meals definitely bring us together because we enjoy a meal, especially if it's a good meal. But also there's room to really have that wonderful conversation to build that into me, you see, the intimacy. And so that's a wonderful thing. Now, the one thing I would say, though, if you're going to go out to dinner, try to leave the problems at home, okay? Shelve the financial problems, the credit card debt, the kid problems, everything that's going on with the house, the relationship. Try to shelve it and just
Did Eileen call you? My goodness,
where
where did you get that list?
Each other. I know, it's so funny. It's so funny. Sometimes when Marty says, "Let's have dinner together," I said, "Okay, I'm fine with that, but we're not going to talk about anything financial or anything. I'm just not going to do it."
Yeah, right. I absolutely love it. And here's the thing: when you look at Jesus, I'm also thinking about Saint Teresa of Calcutta, right? Touch. It's so important to be close enough to touch someone, to look at them, to have a conversation where you are looking at one another, where your attention is completely given to one another, not given over to distraction, not given to being willing to walk away from that conversation at the drop of a hat because a text comes in or because some interesting program comes in on the television. Look, it's just something we have to be committed to, right?
Mm-hmm. Amen. I love it. And so everybody can remember, intimacy is into me, you see. So start practicing it this weekend.
Love it.
That's a little something called Get Real with Debbie G.
That's right.
I love it.
Have a great time this weekend, you guys. God bless you for all you do.
And you for what you do. Thank you so much, Debbie Georgionni.